Does it feel like your business is running your life? You wake up at work staring you in the face, you're always at the whim of the latest crisis, and you're constantly questioning if you're even focused on the right things in your business? I'm Melissa James, and today we're fixing the real reason this keeps happening. Welcome to Small Strategic Steps for a Strong Year. If you're a business owner who's tired of feeling like the business is running your life, this series is for you. Over the next 5 videos, you'll learn simple, practical steps to move from constant firefighting to confident CEO leadership. By the end of this series, you'll feel confident that you're focused on the right things in your business and not just spinning your wheels. This is why so many business owners watch their first quarter disappear without real progress on their most important priorities. Not because they don't know what matters, but because they never make their true priorities official. They think they know what matters most, but it's only in their heads. And that's a dangerous place for your most important goals to live. Here's the truth. Most business owners say they know their priorities, and they do in a way. But until you put them down on paper, they're just ideas competing with every other demand on your time. The most successful owners don't just know their priorities, they make them official and they protect them. If you're anything like the business owners I work with, you already have a gut sense of what matters most in your business. You're in the middle of it every day. You're talking to customers, watching the numbers, and spotting opportunities and challenges before anyone else. That gut instinct, it's a gift. But here's the trap. When you keep those priorities in your head, they're competing with every other idea, distraction, or urgent request that lands on your plate. I've seen business owners start the year knowing their top focus was growing recurring revenue. And by March, they're knee deep in a new service launch because the client asked for it. Or they wanted to finally hire an operations manager, but got swept into fixing marketing campaigns because that felt more urgent in the moment. Here's what's really happening. Without clear, written priorities, every opportunity feels equally important. That proposal request could be the big break. That networking event might lead to the perfect partnership. But when everything seems important, you end up spreading yourself thin instead of making real progress on what could actually transform your business. So, why does it matter to make your priorities official, especially if you already know them? Well, first, it turns them into a focus filter. Once they're written down, you can run every opportunity and task through them. Does this help us achieve one of these 3 things? If not, it's not a right now. Think about how much time you'd save if you could immediately dismiss the projects that don't move your business forward. Second, it creates clarity for you and your team. When your team knows the priorities, they can make better decisions without running everything by you first. Third, it makes tracking progress possible. Written down, you can look back at each month and ask, did my actions actually move the needle on these? You'll be amazed at how often the answer is no and how eye-opening that can be. And fourth, it gives you permission to say no. When you don't have clear priorities, saying no feels risky. But when you have 3 clear priorities, turning down everything else becomes strategic, not scary. So, what's the risk if you don't? Well, you stay in reactive mode all year, working harder without moving the business forward. According to research from Harvard Business School, businesses that set clear priorities are 30% more likely to achieve their revenue goals than those that don't. I worked with one business that struggled with this exact problem. They'd wait until the last minute to identify their priorities. Usually a quarter of the year had already passed. And then they would end up with 10 different things, all labeled as priorities. Something would change in the market, they'd add a new priority. They have an issue with their supplier, another priority got added to the list. What happened? Well, less and less time could be dedicated to each so-called priority. Progress slowed to a crawl, then stopped completely. Employees, well, they were confused about what to focus on and frustrated because they'd worked on something only to see it get stalled or abandoned. It was chaos. But then I worked with another business that took a completely different approach. They decided to only have 3 priorities, period. Everyone in the company knew those top 3 and could recite them at any time. Their priorities became their decision filter. New opportunity comes up, they'd ask, does this support one of our three priorities? If yes, they'd consider it. If no, it was an automatic no. Work got done quickly and efficiently because everyone knew exactly where to focus their energy. And here's the key. When market conditions demanded a change or a new issue arose, they didn't just add another priority. Instead, they'd hold that new goal up against their existing top three and ask, is this more important than what we're already committed to? Only then would they consider making a switch. So here's your small strategic step for today. I call it the top 3 in 15-minute exercise. Now, before we get into how to choose your top three, let's talk about why it's just three. The thing is, there's real power in narrowing your focus. When everything feels like a priority, nothing gets the attention it deserves. And that's where momentum dies. But three? Well, three is just enough to stretch you, but not so many that you'll burn out or stall. It's that sweet spot between growth and clarity. And here's how you find your three. Step one, block 15 minutes right now. You don't need more than that. Step two, write down the 3 results that you want the most by the end of the year. Not tasks, result. Think increasing revenue by 30%, or hire and fully onboard a marketing assistant, or launch a new service line, or sign 10 new clients. Here's the key. As a business owner, your first instincts are usually right. Don't overthink this. If you're stuck, ask yourself, what 3 things, if accomplished this year, would make the biggest difference in my business and my life? Now, step 3, put those 3 priorities somewhere where you'll see them every single week. Your desk, your computer, screensaver, the first page of your planner. The goal is to make them impossible to ignore. Step 4, for the next week, before you say yes to any new project or urgent request, ask yourself, does this directly support one of my 3 priorities? If the answer is no, your answer should be not right now. Step 5, schedule a 15-minute check-in with yourself every Friday for the next month. Ask, what did I do this week that moved me closer to my priorities? And what pulled me away from them? This reflection is where the real learning happens. Here's what happens when you do this consistently. Your days start feeling more intentional instead of like you're constantly shooting from the hip. Your team knows what success looks like, and every decision becomes easier because you have a clear filter. But here's the part that may surprise you. Once you have this level of clarity, you'll actually feel less guilty about saying no. When you don't have clear priorities, every no feels like you might be missing out on something important. But when you have 3 written priorities, saying no to everything else, it feels strategic and not selfish. And at the end of each month, you can actually point to progress instead of just being busy. You'll know exactly whether you're building the business you want or just managing the business you have. This is the very first step in creating what I call your CEO blueprint, the roadmap that helps you lead strategically instead of managing the chaos. But getting your priorities on paper is just the beginning. The real game changer is freeing up the time to actually focus on them. That's why I created my free 40-hour Freedom Fast Track. It's packed with quick strategic wins to help you reclaim 40 hours this month without hiring anyone or hustling harder. Because what good are clear priorities if you're still buried in everything else? You can grab that in the link below. And for those ready to go deeper, inside the Lead Like a CEO Accelerator, we build the complete system to align your team around these priorities so they actually get done. If you're ready for that breakaway boss transformation, I'd love to see you there too. Before you go anywhere, tell me in the comments what's one priority you already know needs to be at the top of your list for the year ahead. I read every single one, and I'd love to cheer you on as you make this shift. If this helps you get clarity on what matters most, give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more strategic leadership insights for business owners. And here's what's coming next week. We're diving into how to turn those priorities into a 90-day action plan that actually gets executed. Because knowing your priorities is step 1, but turning them into a concrete roadmap, that's where the real transformation happens. This is the first part in our 5-part series, Small Strategic Steps for a Strong Year. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of it. See you next time.